Happy Tuesday, everyone. Veterans Day, KV employees, everybody watching. Guess what? We're going to talk VA disability. It is my favorite time of the week. I love getting together on the channel here where we can educate in the process, help each other out, make the claims process smoother between VA and veterans and everybody in between. Maybe one day you won't need me because we'll have done such a damn good job that I'll have a job. I'll be okay with that too. I just want to make sure the process is as smooth as it can be for you veterans and VA. So I am VA accredited attorney Matthew Lang. If you've seen the other videos, you get it. I've been around for a little bit. I know the system pretty well. Been working inside of it multiple locations and positions for a good number of years, and now I'm on the outside here, helping veterans get the benefits they're entitled to. Hey, thinking about benefits you're entitled to, veterans, I want to give you some insight to a claim that I see very often back here. And I think over the years, this claim has grown quite a bit as the knowledge and medical knowledge as well, just like the public knowledge and the medical knowledge, I should say, has grown around it. We're going to talk about some sleep apnea. I'm actually just going to say, we're going to call this sleep apnea what you need to know. Because VA seems to be, I'm sorry, VA, picking on you. I'm just giving you the warning shot. You seem to struggle with the sleep apnea claims just a little bit from at least what I see. But again, I see the bad and the ugly, and I see you struggle on nearly every sleep apnea claim. Probably 99.9% of the ones that come across my desk you struggled on. So let's help everybody out. Let's figure this out. So for those who do not know, sleep apnea is not only one of the most commonly claimed conditions, but as I've mentioned, one of the most commonly denied conditions by the VA. But what is it? What is sleep apnea? Well, I'm aware of 3 different types of sleep apnea. There's central sleep apnea, there's obstructive sleep apnea, there's a complex or mixed sleep apnea as well. We usually see obstructive sleep apnea, OSA for short, up here, and this is usually what gets diagnosed with veterans. So we're going to put our focus right there on the obstructive sleep apnea in this situation. Now, before we really get any further, we got to know what is that obstructive sleep apnea? What's the definition of it? So obstructive sleep apnea is not only the most common type of sleep apnea, it also occurs when the throat muscles relax during sleep, causing a partial or complete blockage of the airway. This leads to pausing and breathing, often accompanied by snoring or gasping. So veterans, these are a lot of symptoms that I will see to kind of key in on you may have potential sleep apnea. If we're talking the sleep apnea realm. Now, keeping also in mind that most of the time we don't even know we have these symptoms, and I like to chalk that up too, is because we're trying to sleep or we are sleeping through them. So you may have to get somebody else to point out you're having these symptoms when you sleep. But those symptoms are typically loud snoring, again, as I mentioned, gasping or choking for air during sleep, breathing pauses or just stop breathing during sleep for a period of time, usually a number of seconds. Poor sleep quality, daytime fatigue, dry mouth or sore throat when waking, and maybe even morning headaches. These are the most common ones I see. There's more symptoms out there. You can do a Google search on Bing search or Yahoo search, or whatever your search engine is, to find more, but these are the common ones that I'm going to lay out here in this video for you that I see to really identify that sleep apnea could be a problem. Now, I'm not a medical provider though, or I'm not a doctor. So how do we figure out the diagnosis of sleep apnea? Well, VA is going to require a sleep study. So veterans, this is going to go into helping your claim here. If at any point you feel you have these symptoms, you may have a sleep apnea, and I'll even tell you if you're sitting here in front of me during a case evaluation, when we come across the situation, I may just recommend you go out and get a sleep study. Now, there are home sleep studies, yes. There's also the normal clinical sleep studies. I would personally recommend the clinical sleep study because my understanding they're more accurate. The sleep studies are accepted, the home sleep studies are accepted by the VA and are used for what I've observed in my time back here on this side by the VA. So you can use them, but do understand why I say probably one of the clinical ones is because I've seen multiple home studies mention when they don't give a diagnosis of sleep apnea that it is usually should not be used for adequacy of that diagnosis or failure to diagnose. So keep that in mind. Small little tip for me, but home sleep study is fine too. If it gets diagnosed, you got the diagnosis. Main point is the sleep study to get the diagnosis. Now, we're going to really talk about the idea again of that foundation we've already talked about. So when we talk about sleep apnea, how are we going to get there? How are we going to get that? Because I know when I was in service, the Army was not about to give me a sleep study for anything. Now they might. I've seen it done, but I don't think it's common practice by any means. And if I'm wrong, throw it in the comments. Let me know. I don't want to give out any bad information here or any incorrect information. But we also have to remember veterans from even other generations and other conflicts. We barely know most of what even those from Vietnam had endured. Heck, even the term PTSD itself is fairly new in the context of everything. And sleep apnea, I would say, is also fairly new. So who knew? Who knew that it truly what it was and existed at the time? So my point is these aren't, when you're in service, you're probably not going to have it documented. So we get the current diagnosis. You probably didn't get a sleep study in service, as I mentioned. We're going to go into that foundation. We're going to go in that foundation of the occurrence in service. Now, when we're talking on the direct theory, we're talking about that occurrence. So this is where we could talk about some lay evidence. So some lay evidence that says, yeah, I observed veteran Joe Snuffy here, gasp for air in sleep, stop breathing during sleep. Yeah, always tired, always complain about being tired. I went through a pot of coffee and seemed to never still be awake during the day. Maybe it wasn't made like mud enough. I don't know. No, terrible jokes. Don't mind me. But that's the idea. You get the current diagnosis, veterans, for your sleep study there. You get that current diagnosis from there. And then when we're talking in service, you're likely going to have to rely on this lay evidence, this additional buddy statements as well. Because, again, not typically something we're going to find in the service treatment records. This is not something I have witnessed myself being treated or sleep studies being routinely done, even though it's a very common issue now. And then we're going to have to get into that nexus between the conditions, right? Same foundation as always. We need that link. Now, I do see the bad and the ugly. I'm not very, we'll talk about in other videos the adequacy of these exams a little bit more. I think we may have already mentioned it a couple different times, but we're going to get in more detail. I know is my plan in another video, but I think it's a realm that the VA providers, contractors, from what I've seen from bad and ugly, struggle with is the opinions. The opinions appear to be, to me, in my professional opinion, constantly inadequate. I don't feel there's a lot of times that they provide the legal rationale that they need, so they become inadequate. There's times I don't feel that they rely on proper medical literature. I do see times where it's like the medical provider goes into just the generalities of sleep apnea and how it could be caused by just general things by the public. But we're not here to talk about generalities. Veterans, we're here to talk about you and the facts of your case. So things like that can make it inadequate, and I do see that a lot. So keep in mind, you may, and I hesitate to say this, depends on the facts of your case, you may want to consider having your private provider, your primary care, for example, go out on a limb here and try to write a nexus. But again, you got to make sure it meets the law as well. So do know that this is the point. I'm just giving you a tip, practice tip of mine, where we usually end up fighting appeals a lot when it comes to that there. Now, direct service connection is not the only theory, and actually, in many cases, you will find that we're filing a secondary theory back here for sleep apnea. Sleep apnea can be linked, and there's plenty of medical literature out there that I've read, to PTSD, TBI, for example. These are very common 2 conditions that I work with back here. And there's other service-connected disabilities as well, but those are very common. So what happens when we're talking secondary, though? Well, again, we've got to have the current diagnosis. We're still going to need the sleep study either way, veterans. So it may just behoove you to go get a sleep study and see if you have the sleep apnea, get the diagnosis right away. Help the VA out, I suppose, at that point. See if you can get it. The other idea here is, instead of saying that the symptoms were observed during service, like the snoring, the gasping for air, fatigue, that we're going to say that PTSD or TBI that you're service connected for, you have to be service connected for those conditions. One of those conditions or a condition that does affect or have ultimately plays a role on sleep apnea, whether it be through a causation or an aggravation as we know it, then you want to make sure you're service connected for those. Once we got that, we got those first 2 elements, right? It's kind of like saying the same foundation. The in-service event is really those conditions. Your current diagnosis, again, is that sleep study. The problem, again, here is the nexus layer, where the VA does it. They, forgive me for this one, VA, but what I see from the bad and ugly is your examiners and your contractors don't seem to read the medical literature. I see quite often in those opinions that the examiner will say that there is no medical literature linking the 2. Oh, buddy. That's totally inadequate. It's not factually correct. There's plenty of literature out there linking the 2. The other problem we have, veterans, is that the VA's medical opinion, their templated medical opinion for secondaries underneath the law, in my professional opinion, and then is inadequate question to begin with. It's always been inadequate. It doesn't ask the proper question, so it always comes back inadequate. So these are challenges that we have, veterans. So I want to point this out to you, so when you're thinking about filing the sleep apnea claim, how you can help yourself in the process. I don't foresee that ever changing, especially anytime soon, because they've been using the same template since, well, pretty much the birth of it, that template. I think we're on 13 years now, something like that. It's not about to change, I don't expect. So the opinion is going to come back inadequate all the time. So that's where myself, if I'm representing them, I'm going to be focused on, because we're going to be appealing that all day long. So again, that's where it comes into play. If you can get an adequate opinion out of your primary care physician, I would definitely say you might want to give that a try and make that claim that way. So that's how you can help strengthen your claim there, veterans. When it comes to the sleep apnea, and VA, there's a few tips in there for you to explain that in your process. Underneath the rules, the laws, and the court cases, that you are relying on inadequate information a lot of times to incorrectly deny. So I just throwing the recommendation and the request out there. Please watch for it, so there's no unnecessary denials, and we're not circulating the backlog right back into another pot. We really want to help the veterans out of here. That's what we're all here for, right? Now let's talk about once you get service connected veterans for that sleep apnea here. What are we looking at for an evaluation? Well, at the time of this video, this is what the CFR had in it. The CFR 38 CFR 4.97 underneath the diagnostic code 6847 gives you the criteria for that the VA uses for giving an evaluation for sleep apnea. It has a 0, it has a 30, a 50, and a 100% line. I'll tell you, the 50% line is the most common that I see. I have seen the 100% once or twice. But when you get to the 100% part, we're starting to talk about stuff like chronic respiratory failure. The condition is pretty severe by then. 50% though requires the use of a breathing assistance device such as, well, a CPAP machine, pretty common. Now keep in mind, we do have the medical world and the technology is improving, what seems like every day. So it may not be quite a CPAP, but the regulation does say requires the use of a breathing assistance device, such as, so CPAP is an example. It is the most common one we do see still, but if you do need the assistance of a breathing device, 50%. So you should probably be getting there. We got a 30% line, mostly for persistent daytime hypersomnolence. I think I might have messed that up, but work with me on that one, please. That's really what it says there. Again, not something I commonly see. 0% a diagnosis without symptoms of treatment. Well, I think by the time any of us get a diagnosis for sleep apnea, well, some sort of treatment is there. And hey, I don't know how you have a diagnosis of sleep apnea without some symptoms. I've just never seen it. And if somebody else has, hey, throw in the comments too for me. Educate me on that one. I think that maybe we need to update the the CFR. But hey, veterans, there you go. That sleep apnea again is one of those conditions that are very common. I see claimed. It's becoming, I think, even more and more common as it becomes more known. At the same time, unfortunately, it is also one of the more common claims I see denied by the VA. And I do think there are some errors by the VA that in there, because we do appeal them all the time. But outside of those errors, and hoping VA caught some of those and are willing to look at those and be more cautious with some of those. They're just kind of unfortunately built into their system and has always been there for years. Veterans, you can help the process perhaps and submit some of this evidence ahead of time. See if you can get yourself a sleep study, get the diagnosis. If you don't have the diagnosis, we're pretty much done right there. I can't go much further. It'd be hard for you to go much further as well. If you do have the diagnosis, hey, tell us what you think it's due to. Are you service connected for something like PTSD or TBI? Do you think it's due to that? Is it secondary to that? Could it be caused by or aggravated by that? PTSD or TBI? Yeah, sure can. So maybe that's your in-service occurrence issue there. If maybe people have told you when you were in service that you had all these symptoms or some of these symptoms of sleep apnea we've talked about. Have them write those late statements. Let's talk about the direct as well. VA can address both theories, and it could be possible that both theories are the reason for service connection. We only need one, but it could be possible for both. So kind of keep that in mind there as well. And then I really hate to say it, but you should be able to get an adequate exam from the VA, and you may be able to. So if you want to try that route, take that route. But also consider the idea of a primary care physician or another private provider who is familiar with your situation in your case and can perhaps provide an adequate next opinion there for you. So there you go, veterans. That's sleep apnea. VA, that's sleep apnea. Hope everyone has a wonderful Tuesday. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and all the other good stuff. And veterans, if you have been denied for sleep apnea and you want to see if the denial was a proper denial or you would like to appeal it, don't forget veteranlane.com. You'll find our office location here in Surprise, Arizona there. If you want to come in, stop in, have some coffee, have some tea, have just a bottle of water with me. We can talk. Or if you want to schedule that time on our free case evaluation button there, more than welcome to. It's probably the easiest way to get you to my calendar and reserve your slot. Or just give us a call, and we'll get you in as soon as we can. And sometimes the same day. I'm usually pretty flexible. With that, I'm gonna quit rambling. Say thank you to everybody and have a wonderful week. I'll see you next Tuesday.